Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar on Autumn on the Camino. This is Sarah Glasgow and Jeremy Perrin with you here. You're very welcome.
Yep, hi everyone, very welcome to our Autumn on the Camino. We're going to run through the presentation now. It'll take we're just going to go through some of the routes and experiences you can have on the Camino during the autumn. So take it away, Sarah.
Yeah. All right. So as Jeremy said, we're going to have a look at just what we do here at Camino and then some recommended routes you might want to consider if you're planning a walk to the Camino in autumn. Okay, so Jeremy's going to take you through a bit of what we do here now.
So essentially at CaminoWays, we offer our tours on all the routes of the Camino de Santiago. If you go onto our website, CaminoWays.com, you can see all the routes we offer and how they offer them. And you can even design your own tour using our tailor-made system. So you pretty much put in the start, where you want to start, where you want to finish. And it's going to tell you all the places in between, the kilometers per day, and the cost, of course. And if you want to do any tailoring, you can contact us. We'll either add in days, take off days, add in services that you may need, and we'll go through some of that today during the webinar. So autumn on the Camino, we'll have a chat about that, the weather, the best routes, and where we want to go. And so let's get going into it.
All right. So as you can see from this map, we have quite a lot of routes, the most popular being the Camino Frances, and Jeremy again is gonna tell you a bit more about that.
Yeah, so obviously the Camino de Santiago has been walked a lot. There's a huge amount of routes and destinations you can go. The main destination is finishing in Santiago de Compostela. And obviously there hasn't been a lot of action on it since 2019 and travel is shut down. But since July, we've had an excellent growing number of people coming back to walk the Camino. And it's becoming very accessible again. And that every day that's improving. So the most popular way on the Camino is obviously the big Camino Frances. You can see it there. It's coming from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. The second most popular will probably be the Portuguese way. That's coming all the way up from Lisbon, but most walk from Porto. And then we have the Camino Norte from San Sebastian, traveling along the northern coast and coming down into Santiago de Compostela. There's also a little side route called the Primitivo, which is becoming more and more popular. It's a bit more challenging, but it is a good route. And then the Camino Inglés, or the English Camino, coming from Ferrol down to Santiago, so only just over 100 kilometers. The reason it's called the English way and it's so short is that people from England and Ireland used to sail down to Ferrol and then just walk down to Santiago de Compostela.
Even back then, the Irish wanted to go off traveling. Yeah, it's really great that travel is reopening again. I think we're all in well overdue a holiday at this stage. So, Jeremy, which would be the one that, if someone is going on their first Camino, which route would they choose most often?
Yeah, I think definitely the most popular one being the Camino Frances. And it is what 88% of people do when they come and do the Camino the first time. And funny enough, they'll start in Sarria, which is just over 100 kilometers from Santiago de Compostela, and they'll walk 5, 6, or even we have a shortened per kilometer day route, which takes about 10, 11 days to walk into Santiago. So Sarria Santiago by far is the most popular, and that does not mean that the route is packed. It's like walking down the main street of a town or city. That's not correct. There's plenty of services and utilities on the route for lots of people to walk it and have an adventure on that route. Secondly, I'd say the Portuguese Camino, that's either using the central route, that's from Tui, which is on the border of Portugal and Spain, up into Santiago. And then there's the Portuguese coastal route, which obviously travels along the coast from Porto all the way up to Bayona and Vigo, and then cutting inland from Ponferrada, just before Ponferrada, into Santiago de Compostela. So there is, for first timers, there's quite a bit to choose from, and there are 3 fantastic options, and all very accessible for the autumn.
Great. So obviously we are talking about autumn now, and coming up to October and into mid November is a lovely time to go. There's actually, you may be thinking that, oh, it's not the summer, it's not peak season, but that actually means it's better. I mean, in my opinion, I'm kind of obsessed with autumn. It's the best time. So the weather is much cooler. You don't have to walk for hours on end sweating buckets. Like, you can actually breathe in a bit of fresh air. The colors are really beautiful. There's still a number of festivals happening. There's San Frolon, which I've probably pronounced incorrectly, but in Leon and Lugo. So that's a really good one to go to. The food, same food that is on offer in Galicia all year round, but some additions. You can actually get some delicious chestnuts at this time of year. And also, it's a great time to have some churros and chocolate because if you've had it before, you know it's filling. So it's a really good time to have it when you're seeking out a bit more warmth. I don't know about you, Jeremy. Are you a fan of Halloween?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great time. And the Spanish love their festivals. So there's always a huge atmosphere in all the towns and cities along the Camino, especially as well as Santiago. So yeah, it's a big time, big
Mm,
festival. It's great fun. So it's always good to walk the Camino when there's something like that going on.
exactly. And if you're a fan of myths, legends, all things spooky like I am, there's so many. There's a pilgrim ghost. You can see a picture of him there. If you want to find out more about that, you should check it out on our site. And there's also these Santa Campagna, these lonely souls at the crossroads, and a lot of interesting myths and legends. So it's great for this time of year coming up to Halloween as well. Okay.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit to that before we move on. So I mean, you're still probably talking about 15 to 20 degrees some days, and the weather's very unpredictable at these times. But it's still going to be warm during the day, but the mornings they're going to be cold. You're probably going to experience a bit of rain, so you definitely should kind of cater for that. Just to add that in.
Great. So obviously, there's no official best time to visit the Camino. It's all about your own personal preference. But the Camino Marabe and the Francina in Tuscany. This one that we're going to talk about is focused on families. Obviously, you've got the October midterm break if you're in Ireland and the UK and possibly elsewhere. There's always the holidays around this time of the year. So, Jeremy's going to take us through and tell us a bit more about these routes and what you can expect if you come during autumn.
So I mean, the first one we're going to look at is the Camino Frances. It's about in total it's about 680 kilometers long. We've broken it down into 35 stages. So from Saint Jean to Santiago, you can walk that in kind of 4 to 5 weeks, depending on how many breaks and what kind of many days you want to walk. And it really is an amazing route. And up to the end of October, it is absolutely accessible to do the full route. Don't forget, from Saint Jean, you're crossing the Pyrenees over a high mountain pass and into Roncesvalles, into Pamplona. There is a little bit of a mountain region as well, and coming through the Meseta, and then also just before Sarria, after Ponferrada, around Osuribo. So at those elevated points, you just need to have a bit more thought about the weather and what is doing. But up to the end of October into the first few weeks of November, you should absolutely be fine. If you're just looking for a week long experience on the French Way, 100% recommend Sarria to Santiago. You're inland and it's rural. It's lovely. It's not that challenging. You're walking on average about 20 kilometers a day, and also you finish in Santiago de Compostela. And you get your certificate because you just need to walk 100 kilometers to Santiago to get your cert. So it's a really fantastic walk. As I said earlier, is the most popular route of the Camino, and Sarria Santiago in the autumn is lovely. As Sarah said, you start getting the autumn colours, that freshness in the morning. The evenings are a bit shorter, but you should be finishing your day's walk around 3 or 4 o'clock, so that's not a problem.
And it's still kind of busy enough as well, Sarria to Santiago coming up into October. You're not too alone.
It is still busy. It's definitely not as busy as would be in September or May, which would be two of the busiest months. August for the Spanish and for kind of the northern hemisphere where we don't like the August heat. May and September are really popular, but like there's still lots of people walking into October, even into November. All the facilities are still open, all the little cafes in the hostels and other little cafes as you walk. So yeah, absolutely no problem with availability of services.
Perfect. All right, and then the next one is the Fisherman's Trail or the Portuguese coastal route.
Yeah, the Portuguese coast route probably not really widely known. It's right down in the south of Portugal, obviously, and flying into Lisbon or flying to Faro, you're going to get access to that. And it is walking along the western seaboard of southern Portugal. So the weather is going to be better here. The wind, it can be quite windy down here, and so wind coming in off the Atlantic. So you should kind of think about that and make sure you're well wrapped up for the wind. But otherwise, it's a good challenging walk. Fantastic scenery. You're kind of lots of cliffs and beaches and sand, and you will get a bit of sun still at this time of the year. And the temperatures will be a little bit higher. You're probably talking in around kind of 18 average to 24, 25 degrees. If you're lucky, you could get more. So you might even have an opportunity to get into the sea in the evenings. It's an amazing rural, natural walk. You're going to see a lot of nature. You're not going to see a huge amount of other people walking this route, but there are other people, so it does feel like a bit more of an adventure.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, of course, you're finishing down at Cape St. Vincent, which is the most westerly point of the European mainland.
Okay, no, it's great that it'll still be warm enough for a swim. I know a lot of people in the last year or so have really taken to sea swimming, so it looks gorgeous anyway, the views and the nature. So that's really good that it's still warm enough to go swimming if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
I'm in love with Andalusia, Granada, Cordoba. It's such a beautiful part of Spain.
Yeah, and it's this part of Spain. I haven't walked this, and I'm absolutely dying to walk it myself. I have been down around that area, but I haven't walked this route. I mean, it's such a contrasting location, and you see immediately from the picture that you have kind of a sunny sunblasted town here, and then in the foreground or background you have snowy mountains, and that's the nature there because you have the high mountains, and also you're in southern Spain. Probably the temperatures down here are definitely going to be warmer. But in October, if you go to here in August, it's probably too warm to walk. But in October, it's perfect weather. So you're probably talking about 20, 22 degrees plus. And again, depending on what weather's around at the moment, you could get even warmer weather. But you don't have to walk over the mountains. You walk through the passes and you continue kind of through from southern Spain up through Cordoba, and it really is stunning. It's definitely one I'm going to do, and it's one for the future. And for the autumn, for me, it's a perfect route. Great for families as well. It's not too challenging. Nice little hotels along the way. Great. It's another different region of Spain, so you're going to get that difference in culture as well from the Camino. So yeah, highly recommend this.
The last time I was in Granada, actually, if you order a drink in a bar, the size of the tapas is actually enough to be a full meal. So that's another great perk of that part of Spain as well. There is just one thing. So the people that do this route, they will not be walking to Santiago.
No, they won't. I mean, you're in southern Spain.
Yeah.
You're very far away from Santiago.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who come and walk with us, they may have walked before, so they've already got their certificate. But there's no problem coming back later in later years and walking parts of the Camino. You collect your stamps as you go. So all the stamps matter when you walk into the pilgrim office, and they'll have a look of where you've been, what
It's more tailored to families. So it's obviously, you can see it's only 47.9 kilometers, so it's a lot shorter than the other routes.
Yeah, I mean it's a short. It's a, I suppose if you like a short break on the Via Francigena, from San Gimignano to Siena. You can also do longer. You know, you can start early in San Gimignano if you want to do a week. Kids be surprisingly capable of doing that. But I mean, this route is also open to everybody as well, kids, adults alike. But this, yeah, this particular one is great for kids. If you're doing one and a half term break, get over to Tuscany and do something different in Tuscany. I mean, Tuscany is one of the top five destinations on the planet. This is somewhere people always want to go, but they generally go for kind of, I suppose, hotel stays and food. Walking the Via Francigena is very different. You still get the excellent hotels, country hotels, and you still get the amazing food, but you get the real experience of spending time walking slowly through the country, meeting the people, experiencing the nature. And it's such an amazing time to walk Via Francigena, generally because again you're moving out of the heat of the summer and into the kind of the freshness of the of autumn. So still be quite warm again, so probably 20 degrees plus on average. But you know it's such a stunning route. Tuscany, walking through Tuscany, staying in lovely hotels, eating the food. What more would you want?
Not very much, to be honest, especially the scenery there, and Italy is amazing as well. So yeah, that's definitely, I'll wrangle some kids to come along with me. All right, so obviously you have some generic things that you would pack, whatever Camino you're doing, whatever time of year. Are there any specific things you need to have in your bag with you for autumn?
Yeah, you know, it's you always should pack for weather eventualities, and you know you always may get a bit of rain, but in the autumn you're probably definitely going to get some rain. So good waterproofing is essential. I mean, and it really is because if you get wet in the morning, you don't want to be wet all day, and having damp or wet clothes is really what causes blisters on your feet or you know even on your upper body. It can be extremely uncomfortable and at times even stop your tour. So you want to avoid that. So yes, light waterproof clothes. I always say it's great to have a poncho, a good poncho. It's something you can have that's in a quick accessible pocket or part of your backpack. You can just, when it starts to rain, you can whip it out, get it on. It covers you, it covers your backpack, and you know you're not you haven't got wet by taking your backpack off, opening your backpack, looking for your raincoat, getting your raincoat on, and by that stage you'll probably be wet. So poncho is a really good thing. If you're not into ponchos, a really good rain jacket is hiking jacket is again essential, and make sure it's a light one because in these places it is still going to be quite warm. And when you're wearing a waterproof jacket, you'll obviously perspire quite a bit, and that also makes it quite damp for you. And you feel like your waterproof jacket is not waterproof anymore, but it actually is. It's just you perspiring within your waterproof jacket. Another thing I think is quite important is you know people are walking during the summer they wear their hiking shoes or sandals. I think you know for walking in the autumn, kind of high ankle hiking boots are good as long as they've got good flexible soles. You don't need you know mountain hiking boots, but flexible sole hiking boots are good and waterproof because when it rains, underfoot's going to get mucky and wet. And again, you don't want to get wet feet because that can cause blisters. Spare pair of socks in the backpack as well is good because that's going to prevent blisters. Always say a little hand towel as well in case you need to dry your face and your hands and your feet. So that's I'm talking a lot about rain, but you're more likely going to have a bit of rain in the majority of the routes. Maybe not the Via Francigena, maybe not the Camino Morizave, but in the other routes you may have. So yeah, extra waterproofing is really essential. And don't forget, we transfer your luggage, your main luggage bag, which gives you the massive advantage of being able to bring spare clothes with you as well. So that helps a lot, and it's one of the best or most kind of, I suppose, favorite services that we offer is the luggage transfer. So you don't have to carry all your luggage; you just need to carry what you need for that day. One other thing, in the morning when you get up, it is going to be fresher. In the evening, it's going to be cooler. So a good fleece. As I said, your raincoat shouldn't be like a ski jacket. It should be just a very light raincoat. A good fleece that you can put on just to keep that morning and evening chill off is very good. Woody hat, woody gloves. That's yeah, they're quite good to have as extras. But hopefully, most of the time you'll be in shorts and t-shirt.
Well, at least if you are transferring your luggage, you can fill your day bag with multiple pairs of socks, multiple plasters, blister protection, everything that you might need. You may have turned me on to the ponchos now. I'm definitely usually team rain jacket, but at the thought of trying to open your bag, take it out, and get drenched, poncho, that's very clever. Yeah.
Yeah, it does work.
Up our webinar. Hope you got some useful information. And obviously, if you're planning to head off in October, there's loads more information on our site. If you do have any questions, you can leave a comment under this video and we'll get back to you. Or you can email info@CaminoWays.com, contact us via the website or our social media as well.
Yep, thank you everybody out there, and I hope to see you on the Camino soon.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.